Rise and shine, beloved. Come on in, come on in. Let me throw a great grand rising up here to get the comments ready. And then we're going to go ahead and dive into our topic today. We're talking about discipline versus capacity. And you don't want to miss this one. Take a moment, tag your friends, family members, let them know Spiritual Success TV is live, where we're lighting the way to help you create a clear path forward on your awakened path. With that being said, let me just check and make sure I'm broadcasting on Facebook. Let me throw this comment up. There we go. And we'll be ready to get started right here. All right, Grand Rising. All righty. Peace and blessings, grace and peace. Hotep, shalom. Come on in, come on in. Let's go ahead and activate. Take a good healing deep breath in. Exhale. Relax from the crown of your head, beloved, to the soles of your feet. Take this opportunity to come all the way in. Come present right here, right now, to this beautiful sacred moment that we have been gifted today. A beautiful sacred moment of power, of authority, of sovereignty, of agency, and we want to use it well. With that being said, last week we were talking about hypervigilance versus discernment. And we talked about how hypervigilance is when you are overly focused and fixated on harm, on threat, on betrayal, on loss, on fear, scarcity. All of that is driven from a fear-based mindset of survival. And how we want to shift into not being hypervigilant, looking for harm or having faith in attack, but we want to flow from discernment. We want to flow from divine guidance. So today, I want to go ahead and look at the email that you should have gotten over the weekend, where I started laying this foundation. So I want to ask a question, all right? And I'm going to look directly at the email at times, all right? Have you ever kept pushing yourself? Watch this. Have you ever kept pushing yourself, checking all the boxes? I know this all too well, saying that I'm going to stay disciplined. It's all about discipline. I keep procrastinating. I keep putting things off. Can we talk about this today? Because this is real. I keep procrastinating. I keep putting things off, but I want to be disciplined. But yet, the more you push yourself, the more you check those boxes off, the more you feel empty. You're feeling like something's missing, like you're not quite there. You're tired and disconnected. You're more disconnected than ever. I want to say that again. We push. Grand Rising, Reese. Grand Rising, you're right on time. All right. I just felt, oh, thank you. I just felt the surge right there, all right? So you push yourself. You check off all the boxes, right? You push until you're tired and you're empty, but you feel more disconnected than ever. That's because, watch this, discipline on its own is not the goal. Write that down. Discipline on its own is not the goal. We're going to blow procrastination out of the water, right? I want to talk about two things. I heard my good buddy Eric Thomas say one time, and I did a repost of his, says that procrastination, there's no such thing as procrastination because you only procrastinate when something's not important to you. And that's very true on one level. Tell your neighbor there's more than one level to this. That's true on one level because when something becomes important, you prioritize it. If I told you today, I'm going to gift you with $5 million, but you have to meet me in my state, which is not your state, at 3 a.m. tomorrow morning, and that's yours. Now, you're not a morning person. You don't have a ride to the airport. You don't even have the money for the ticket. But because that is important to you, you're going to find a way to get it done. Come on and talk back to me. I guarantee you, you would not say, I'm going to put that off until Friday because by Friday, I could buy a plane ticket. No, it's important because The stipulation is you have to be there by 3 a.m. That would not slip your mind. You would not. So that's true on a certain level. But notice what I said, what I asked you to put into your notes. Discipline, taking action, pushing through on its own is not the goal. That's not the goal. Discipline is the structure, but capacity, and today we're talking about discipline versus capacity, but capacity is the energetic or the spiritual vessel. It is the container that's housing your life force, that's housing all of your infinite power and authority, right? It's the sacred container within capacity. Now watch this. When discipline, checking off those boxes, doing your to-do list, pushing because you don't want to seem like you're lazy, when discipline outruns your capacity, the nervous system goes into survival. And the soul, your spirit, the essence, the core of you will begin to feel abandoned. Again, that is what depression is. So when we're running, busy, but we're not connected or we are not aware of our capacity, we run into burnout, right? So many of us have been conditioned to glorify discipline. I remember the days I could go into my CD archive. Yeah, back in the days of CD, I probably have someone on cassette tape, right? So I can go back and I guarantee you I'll have a whole teaching on discipline, on self-confidence, on self-awareness, on self-love, you name it. We've been walking this path. Great Grand Rising, come on in, let me know you're here, all right? So we've been conditioned to glorify that discipline as the ultimate key to success. Hey, Lisa, thanks for joining us, right? But without considering capacity, energetically, emotionally, spiritually, physically, discipline can become a form of self-punishment. I want you to hear this. I've lived this, right? This is when discipline can become a form of self-punishment rather than a form of empowerment. So I share with you guys many times that how, I would say things like, you're not going to beat me fasting and praying, and how prayer was fear-based. It was driven from the fear that if I disciplined God and if I didn't show up for 5 a.m. prayer one day, that I was going to be punished for that, right? But remember, sin is nothing to be punished. It's something to be corrected, all right? So notice this again. Put this in your notes. You're going to see that you're not lazy. You're not a loser. You're not lifeless. You don't lack ambition. You want to know the difference between discipline and capacity. Because discipline, write this in your note again, discipline without capacity leads to burnout. It leads to overwhelm. It leads to you falling down into depression and lower level energies, all right? Looking at the email. So when we've been trained to believe that discipline is everything, you're going to get free today. Just be consistent. Push harder. Don't stop. That's the 80%ers. Remember that? The 80% versus the 20% of us that are highly sensitive. As a highly sensitive individual, your nervous system is wired differently. And so your capacity is no less than an 80%er. You just have to recognize and become aware of how to work within your energetic or your spiritual capacity, right? And we have to stop beating ourselves up. The day that you stop and you let go of all of those pre-programmed messages about what you're supposed to do to be successful and tap in to the rich inner life and really get a good sense of your capacity, what you're honestly, energetically able to accomplish, that's the day that we all recognize We work smarter, not harder. That's where that comes from. We do what we can honestly do, because the truth is we should not struggle as much as we're struggling. All right? We should not struggle as much as we're struggling. Beloved, you all know there's so much information out there today. There's no reason for any of us to be ignorant of anything, but this is what I want you to do. I want you to find your lane, and I want you to find your timeline, and I want you to find your community, and I want you to work in there and don't pay anything else any attention. We keep getting sucked back into an old paradigm with all of those spells and all of those word curses that's embedded in our society, embedded in systems. We keep getting sucked back in, and you're still not operating as you. Can you just breathe for a moment? Come on, take a moment and breathe and relax. Come home. Come home. Because your rich inner life, the Spirit, the Holy Spirit within, is going to teach you how to do it for you. It's going to teach you how to do it for you. Yes, wise word. Yes, thank you, Reese. So your spirit wants you to listen and follow with joy the path that you, prior to coming here, carved out for yourself. We are struggling, and again, I'm the number one, I'm the queen, so I'm going to take it, right? Of getting confused about what you should do to be successful. This is why I always say you have to divine success for yourself, number one, so that we don't get sucked in. I can remember years thinking that if I just did this, if I just followed this blueprint, if I just did it this way, then bam, I would get it. Did I have success? Some. But what I've come to realize and recognize, that discipline on its own, being consistent on its own, will just lead to burnout, depression, melancholy, and it puts you right back in survival mode that's driven by fear. So let's go on, right? So if I just be consistent, if I just push a little bit harder, if I don't stop, I can get it done. But I was ignoring my capacity, right? So here's the truth. When your nervous system, and we're going to be on this because this is the key again, when your nervous system is untrained, when it's unregulated, discipline again becomes a whip. It becomes a form of punishment. I could look back over the years I spent ignoring my capacity and trying to do the action in a disciplined way, but I didn't get very far. I kept landing back. I kept falling back, all right? But today, beloved, today, we want to bring this to a close. I feel this so strongly. We want to bring this to a close. We want to rest by tapping in to capacity. Great Grand Rising, come on in. Let me know that you're here, all right? So when you push past your limits and silence your body's cry for rest, that's an indication that you're out of alignment. You hear the 80% say things like, sleep is for suckers, sleep is for losers, I could sleep when I die. But all the time, your body is sending you a message, hey, this doesn't work for you. You can't run, because you're going to give out. Because now I used to call it running on fumes. Fumes. There was no real oil, no real gas. I'm running off of fumes. And you know you can't get but so far, right? When your spiritual practices turn into rigid obligations. That's what I was doing many years, with being disciplined and being rigid with myself about getting up and praying and laying out for an hour or two, studying that word. You couldn't beat me knowing that text from backwards, forward, inward, outward, quoting it verbatim. My colleagues, they all said they called me the Paul of our group, right? But then I purposely and intentionally let all of that go. That's why now you all have to remind me where something is in scripture. I let it go because all of that was just surface level, and I was disciplined, but I was not considering my capacity, right? You measure worth by how much you achieve instead of how much presence you can hold. I want you to see this because I can sense you all getting free today. All of you listening to the replay coming behind us, I can sense you getting free. That we're no longer going to measure success about how much we achieve, how much we can get done, how much we can accumulate. Am I in that top 1%? Am I making the same amount of money? Because, beloved, here's the truth. Here's the truth. We can break our net, get into where the success community says that wealth begins, it just starts at 150K a year. You need 100K to live on. They're going to have to up that to 250 with the way inflation is, right? But they said it begins at 150K, and we break our neck to meet that bar. But don't you know what it takes somebody, one person, 150K to do, you could do with 50K. But we have been conditioned that if we at 50K, we are poor, we're not successful, we're not making the mark. Because I want you to hear this. Because it's not about the amount of money you have or the goods that you possess, how much you have accumulated. It's all about how we are living from the inside out. You've heard this many times, and you all know it's true. You could take two people, they can be raised in the same household, experience the same set of circumstances. One person will grow up and be hateful, mean, will end up in jail over and over again, and the other person will become an achiever. Kill it when it comes to milestones, creating a life for themselves. What's the difference? It's how we perceive things and then how we internalize it. All right. So we don't want to measure by worth. All right. So you betray your inner no just to prove that you are strong. Can you be honest? Y'all talk back to me. How many times have you ignored an inner no just to prove that you are strong? That's not sovereignty. That's not sovereignty. That is survival dressed up as success. Put that in your notes. That's not sovereignty. That's survival dressed up as success. But today, we want to get into capacity, into divine flow, because too many times, yes, Reese, because capacity will always lead to expansion. Please put that in your notes. When you are aware of your capacity, it will lead to expansion. It'll lead to creativity. So capacity, again, is a sacred container within you that house or hold your ability to hold, watch this, more love, more peace, more light codes. It's not just about what you can do, and you've heard me say this many times. It's about what can you embody, what is real to you. So I'm going to end with this. When you're in divine flow, let me go through this because then we're going to really lock this in. Your practices, your DSPs, your daily spiritual practices become nourishment. It becomes nourishment for you rather than a few moments of getting it done. So your DSPs, your daily spiritual practices, really should be nourishing you and feeding you because a few moments of pure presence, being focused, being centered, being calm, being balanced, being at peace is worth more than 8 hours of hard work. You need to put that in your notes, all right? Because a few moments in this alpha state or in having a gamma brainwave state can do more for you and expand you in a few moments. I want to say that again because we got to get this. The more you can live here and hold presence, that's capacity. Now we're talking about capacity. When you can hold presence, you can hold love. We're talking about vibrational frequencies. You can hold more light code, more Christ consciousness. That's what will expand you. That's what will allow you to have access to the ideas. And then have the ability to function or carry out the idea. You say yes from sovereignty and no from clarity. Now that's a good one right there. That's a good one right there. When you are at peace and you are aware and conscious of your capacity, the sacred container to hold love, to hold joy, to hold peace, to hold abundance, to hold wealth. The more we can operate from there, you can say yes from this position of divine sovereignty and no from a position of clarity. No more going along to get along. No more having FOMO. If you can get this and we connect together and make a declaration that we will honor our capacity, we'll go a long way. As I started waking up and growing, I remember going to conferences and my mentor, my coaches, right? And going through like morning sessions, and then for lunch, I would have to go back to my hotel room and I would have to decompress. I would literally, on that lunch break, undress, stretch out and lay down for a few minutes. What was I doing? I was recalibrating. I was recentering. Because you're highly sensitive, all of that activity that we did all morning, all of that, because you're highly sensitive, you're picking up way more in the atmosphere, way more in interaction than the average 80%. I would decompress. I would reset and then go back for the evening session, right? What was I doing? I was honoring my capacity. I was honoring my nervous system that was saying, you took in a lot of stimulation. Let's go process what you've taken in. Let's come back center. Let's come back to divine sovereignty. I was able to say no to lunch with a group. From clarity, I need time to decompress. I wasn't trying to be standoffish. And then when I went back to the group, I gave them a beautiful, not even an explanation, but just interacting and talking and letting them know this is why I wasn't at lunch. I didn't go into details about what I was doing for myself specifically, but enough where they didn't feel like I just abandoned the group or I was being standoffish. All right, let's go. Your nervous system begins to regulate, and you notice you can hold more peace and creativity without trying to force it. This is how we can tell we're out of alignment and we're not honoring our capacity. If we're just sitting, trying to force creativity, force a flow, force yourself to take action, we're not home. You're not home. You're not inward. You're not in your rich inner life. You're not tapped into your God self. Beloved, that's where we want to get to. We want to get to where it flows. So, discipline feels like devotion, structured that serve your expansion, not punish your humanity. What do I mean by that? When you start getting into discipline and it starts feeling like devotion, something that you're doing from the heart and is structured, it will serve your expansion. So in other words, when capacity is first and I'm honoring my ability, right, then my discipline to go back to that evening meeting, to get up and go to the early morning meeting, that discipline will begin to serve my expansion. You see? Not the other way around where I'm just checking the boxes, boom, boom, boom. Go in the early morning, go in the midday, go in the evening, go into midnight jamboree, just checking off all the boxes. I'm depleting myself. This is how you deplete yourself. But when you honor your capacity and you say yes out of divine sovereignty, and this goes for anything you could think of across the board, you're saying yes out of sovereignty and no out of clarity, then the discipline works to expand you. So for today, watch this. You experience yourself widening or expanding as a vessel of divine grace, right? You find yourself expanding when you are tapped into your essence. So how do we want to bring this all together today? Discipline on its own is not the key to success. It will keep us looping and fatigue, chasing that elusive carrot. But today, let us decree and declare that because I honor my capacity and I honor my sovereignty, I expand into the joy of success. Put that in your notes. Success my way. Success by my rules, according to me, honoring my capacity. I don't have the bandwidth to do what everybody else is doing. My nervous system overloads when I try to act like them. So I'm here to tell you today, the key to your success is to hear the whispers, that still small voice from within that says, this is the way for you. So I often say this, I'm ending with this. When you're at zero, and remember, zero is not empty. When you don't have all the little things that 3D say you have to have in order to feel like you're thriving, in order to feel like you're successful. When we remove all of that and we come to zero, now you have access to eternity, infinity, infinite abundance, infinite ways, a million different ways that whatever you desire can get to you. Can we land here today? This is when we tap into our infinite ability to create. Zero is good. Zero is good, beloved, because it's not empty, it is full. So we honor our capacity. You regulate your nervous system. You calm down. Let's breathe and exhale. Relax. Come home. Listen to that still voice today. The Holy Spirit's presence within, saying, be still and know. You're not losing, you're winning. Come on, let's declare that today. I'm not losing, I'm winning. Every day, every need is met. Every bill is paid. Every way is made. Every day, I'm stronger, I'm better, I'm wiser. Why am I so blessed every day? That's the questions. Why do I receive money every single day? That doesn't give the subconscious mind a chance to kick back. It doesn't give the super ego voice to tell you when you try to say, I'm a multi-millionaire, and then the super ego voice kick back and say, no, you're not, your account is empty. We're just going to declare and ask the question, why am I a multimillionaire and I'm blessing the world? Try this experiment. You'll see there's no room for the ego voice to kick back because you're not creating that space for doubt. Now you could push it and make room for doubt, but just say, asking the question, why am I so blessed? Why is everything working so well for me every day? And then get happy about it. Rejoice about it. Yes, that's a better place to be, right? I wish I had time to tell you how much confirmation everything you said today was for things that's how it works, honey. Yes, that's how it works because we are all connected. We are in a field. Can we take a moment and just celebrate with Reese? Come on, everybody, just celebrate. Hearts, hand claps, everything. Confirmation. We are right on time. Things that she decided just yesterday. And I stand with you. I touch and agree with you. I cover you. I hold divine space for you that one day at a time, little by little, you are expanding, right? And I needed the instructions and guidance that follow. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. You're going to honor your capacity. So everything we've been talking about in the last few weeks, go back and listen. We're not going to be hyper vigilant. We're not going to look for what's wrong. We're not going to look for who's against you, who's trying to harm you. We're not looking at any of that, right? We want to be in discernment. We want to know the difference between diligence, just doing it for the sake of doing it without honoring your capacity. My capacity says be still and know. My capacity says let go and let God. My capacity says if I could just do one thing that I know I feel good about, just one thing every day, instead of filling up a to-do list with all these tasks, that one thing can work millions. So here first, always home first. Your intentional anchors, it bring you home first. And then we flow out of that. And the more we flow out of this, the more you're going to have access to automatically have an energy to do things that need to be done. Because when you tap in, the Holy Spirit within your God self is going to tell you what you need to do first to give you strength to be able to even tackle more or do more. And again, more is not always better. Less is more. Put that in your notes. That is the truth. When you are tapped into your divine guidance and you are aware of your capacity, what you can handle, what you can honestly handle, that's when things begin to work for you. So I remember years ago, a mentor saying to me, you need to have this many clients, to make this much money, And so I looked at it and my first response was like, yeah, okay, we could do this. But then by the time the next month rolled around and we were checking in, I said, I have to check in to see where I am energetically. And if I could honestly handle that number. See, that's capacity. I had to check with my nervous system. Will the time on my calendar allow for that many? Yes. Do I have the capacity for that many? Maybe not. Maybe yes, maybe. But at least I took the time to honor what my capacity said would work. Because where one person may need 20, I could do the same or better with 10. Y'all ain't saying nothing. All right, lovelies, I'm going to release you with many blessings for the rest of your day. Have a blessed week and stay in capacity. Stay in sync with what you could do. Let's sow seed. We're working with the number 9 for the month of September. So let's sow a $29 seed, $39 seed, $99 seed. Get in where you could fit in. All right, lovelies. Have a blessed, wonderful, and amazing rest of your day. Bye for now.